Story 1, Phone Addiction. It takes away the space in your head that you need just to have thoughts. Those thoughts could be creative thoughts or thoughts that start to unravel complex, tangled problems in your life. We just numb it all out. I used to lie down and just listen to an album from start to finish and let my mind wander.
Facts. Boredom and peace are basically impossible with a smartphone.
Chuckles, funny how we still call these things phones.
Some of my favorites were Sigur Rós, Fuck Buttons, Street Horsing Joanna Newsom, YS, Boards of Canada, The Campfire Head Face.
Story 2. Two things are detrimental, in my opinion. 1. Worrying about what people will think. You can't control anyone's thoughts, so just move on. 2. Spending a huge chunk of time online and mindlessly scrolling through their feeds. Just like me. Getting into arguments or seeing what others have that you don't. Both come from this mindless scrolling and negatively impact you on a daily basis, bit by bit. Sorry for the incorrect grammar. English is not my first language.
For someone who had to tell me their first language wasn't English, I could still understand you completely. And this goes into your first point. Who cares if you mess up a little? Chuckles.
See, even you gotta work on number 1. Chuckles, lightly, most of us humans need to work on number 1.
Of course, just pointing out that they also care what other people think since they said, sorry for the wrong grammar. English is not my first language. It's funny, that's all. Chuckles.
Story 3. Worrying about shit they have no control over due to marketing and social pressures. Story 4. Spending time reading this comment and thinking they're learning something new. Story 5. Work 10 to 12 hours a day, spend the rest of the day doom scrolling, eating synthetic, fiberless, mushy, salty, oily junk food, barely getting enough sleep, never drinking enough water, and generally focusing on things that stress them out all the time. Story 6. Watching excessive porn, comparing their lives to those they follow online, immediately waking up and scrolling before getting out of bed, doom scrolling. Just get off your phone.
I was going to say porn too, but some people on here get very salty about it. Chuckles.
Story 7. Replaying conversations from years ago and cringing at stuff nobody else even remembers. My brain stores the most useless, embarrassing moments in 4K. Story 8. Arguing on Reddit threads. I'm guilty of participating in the past, but I realized how shitty I felt afterward. Someone always has a rude response that makes you feel like a piece of shit for your opinion, requires source material to back up your claim, and so on. Now, when I see an opinion or ask post regarding something controversial, I avoid it entirely. Story 9. Being a troll. That's just feeding the flames of both them and their victims' inner demons. Story 10. Comparing yourself to other people's highlight reels on social media. I know everyone says this, but nobody actually stops doing it. I deleted Instagram for 3 months, and the difference in my mental health was genuinely shocking. We are not designed to see 500 people's best moments every single day while sitting alone in our room. It's slowly destroying an entire generation's sense of self-worth, and nobody is talking about it enough. Story 11. Social media and watching the news are not your friends, and neither are the people you interact with on social media. The majority of them present false scenarios to make themselves look good. With anything medical, you'll get everyone's horror stories as though they are the most common results. Story 12. Checking and posting to social media, thinking that if someone likes what they saw, that's a way to validate yourself. The only validation you need is what you see in the mirror. Accepting yourself and living with the long-term fallout from your decisions. Story 13. You could also ask, what is something most people are not doing every day? Like exercising, spending time with friends, reading, or eating healthy. Life pulls us that way, where every day you may do some things that hurt your mental health, like too much social media, and some things that help your mental health, like going for a walk in nature. Realizing this is helpful and trying to limit the things that hurt while doing more of the things that help. Story 14. Social media. For me, LinkedIn turned out to be the bitch that kept me unhappy. I used it as a tool to confirm that I was not good enough and everyone else was doing so much better in life than I was. Deleted it a few days ago. Already doing better, luckily. Story 15. Expect a return on everything, instead of just having a good time and letting things work out. Story 16. Fall into hypervigilance over everything that's happening. Yes, it is important to be informed and resist accordingly. But when you find yourself anxiously checking the news 100 times a day, and your stomach is in knots, and you can't shut your mind down and rest, it is too much. Story 17. Doom scrolling and social media in general. Not drinking enough water. Overconsumption of processed foods. Driving everywhere instead of walking, though that's location dependent. Story 18. Dwelling on things they can't change, especially from the past. I used to ruminate over a past betrayal by a friend, and I actually found it really helpful to write out the whole situation on Reddit. All the support I got and the stories of other people going through similar things were actually very helpful. Story 19. Well, I can no longer tell if I'm addicted to energy drinks and not sleeping or eating because I'm depressed, or if I'm depressed because I'm addicted to energy drinks and don't sleep or eat. So probably that. Story 20. No coffee first thing after waking up. Let your body wake up naturally. Caffeine feels like much more of a reward if you just wait a couple of hours before having your first cup. Story 21. I actually think that endless scrolling of social media is very bad for mental health. I say this while endlessly scrolling social media. Story 22. Apart from social media. Staying inside all day apart from work and eating like crap. No, diet drinks do not count as being healthy. They are like the absence of nutrients. Story 23. Eating highly inflammatory foods causes systemic inflammation, including in the brain. Brain inflammation is significantly linked to mental health issues. Story 24. Not starting a revolution over the pedophiles running our government and watching everything get worse because now they know we won't. Story 25. A lot of people habitually spend time with friends and family who destroy their mental health. Story 26. Eating what passes for food in America. Can't even trust the damn tap water not to have a negative effect on our brains. Story 27. I don't want to talk about it, but never actually making time to process whatever's not being talked about. Story 28. Scrolling through TikTok and Reels every day. You know those lives are edited and curated, but it still gets in your head. You start measuring your regular Tuesday against someone's highlight reel and wonder why yours doesn't look like that. Story 29. Always being tuned in with music. The folks who have AirPods in 24/7. They never give themselves any quiet time to reflect or just chill. I'm going off of zero evidence here, but it's always seemed like those types have some kind of addiction and can't go more than a few hours without tuning back in. Story 30. Role-playing as a black site interrogator in front of the mirror, slowly pulling out a fingernail as they scream at their reflection to reveal their secrets. Story 31. What I'm doing now is doom scrolling Reddit. Then suddenly an hour has gone by, my head hurts, and I'm drained. Story 32. Scrolling through Reddit. Most people or bots on this app have no capacity for understanding someone else's opinion. It's very one-sided. Story 33. Checking work Slack or email within the first 10 minutes of waking up. You're handing over the emotional tone of your entire morning to whoever happened to send something overnight, before you've had a single thought of your own. It starts the day in reactive mode, and you never quite recover from it. The morning is literally the one time you have to set your own frame for the day, and most people give it away without thinking twice. Story 34. I yell for my fucking dogs every damn day. They turn and look at me, then continue to frolic into the wild blue yonder. I hate cats, but I'm starting to like them more and more with each and every Maggie that is spoken. Story 35. This revolting, addictive app that we're all wasting our most precious time on, all while our loved ones are around us and within reach. Story 36. Scrolling through those short videos, some of my extended family members' brains seem to have turned to mush from doing that. It reminds me of seeing people before and after picking up smoking crack, laughing my ass off. Story 37. Rationalizing their inequities instead of facing them without having to feel justified. Trusting their own understanding and pushing aside scientific or academic consideration. Supporting representatives based on virtue without realizing how much worse that candidate will make everyone's lives. Not flossing. I hate it too. Story 38. Oh God. Yes. Right there. Don't stop. Perfect spot for the flowers. Coffin. Story 39. It's what they don't do. Physically exhausting themselves every day with cardio, weightlifting, or something similar. Story 40. Checking your phone the second you wake up. Your brain goes from peaceful sleep mode straight into panic mode about things that can absolutely wait until you've had a coffee. Story 41. Not most people, but lots of people watch porn. It's temporary pleasure for many, but it causes emotional damage in the long run. Story 42. Watching high-action, high-violence entertainment. The thrill in them is actually constant stimulation of the fight-or-flight response. Long-term overstimulation of this creates a physiological condition of near-constant anxiety. So even when you're not watching, you experience the effects of frequent adrenaline surges. If we do this all the time, the effects can lead to increased baseline arousal, and the nervous system stays slightly activated in general, even when you're not watching. This results in reduced sensitivity to stimulation, needing stronger excitement for the same effect, which can trigger depression. Sleep disruption if exposure happens just before bed, which leads to other issues, elevated resting stress hormones, and so on. I suspect it also leads to desensitization to violence, which can result in reduced empathy overall. Story 43. To be honest, anything. Therapists won't tell you this, but there are actually no healthy coping mechanisms, just more harmful and less harmful ones. Story 44. Social media? 110% yes. We are more connected than ever, but we've never been more disconnected from everyone. Story 45. Hate scrolling financial doom porn and comparing your chapter 1 to an influencer's fake chapter 20. People spend 2 hours a day looking at 22-year-olds claiming to own 5 properties, and it creates this paralyzing illusion that you are already hopelessly behind in life. It completely drains the motivation to make the small, boring, unsexy steps today that actually build stability. Story 46. Mindlessly scrolling through social media. Comparing ourselves to others' perfect lives eats away at our mental well-being. Story 47. Being inactive. Having no hobbies or interests and way too much free time can just give way to overthinking and other bad habits taking hold. Story 48. Sitting too much. I'm as guilty of it as the next person. It's certainly no substitute for medicine if you have clinically relevant psychological issues, but in periods when I'm more physically active, I'm always in a better mood. Story 49. Not getting enough sleep. Also, staying in regular contact or exposure with toxic people. Story 50. Poor nutrition and lack of regular exercise are directly related to mental health.
Story 51. Fica na internet procurando coisas para se sentir ofendido ou procurando alguém para cancelar, porque a pessoa falou ou não falou o que você quer que ela fale. Deve ser exaustivo demais. Isso acaba com a saúde mental de qualquer um.